for the audience who's watching, you did a sexism last night
I
at
did.
dinner.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
You did a sexism.
Yeah.
Because Brian's wife, so for those of you who don't, Brian's wife called him out for a sexism. So
Yeah.
waitress came over and he was like, look, I really want to get a bottle of wine. My friend's here from out of town. I want to treat him to a nice dinner. You know, all the things you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And he had some questions about the wine. Brian says, look, can you get one of the guys over here who have tasted the wine? So, and his wife's like, you said one of the guys. So like, why couldn't it be a girl? And ironically enough, it was a female manager
It was
who
a
came
female
over.
sommelier.
Yeah, it was a female manager.
And that was
who
a good
came
wine.
over.
She done well, right?
I mean, it was a good wine, but I feel like that was in spite of her. I feel like it was just because you made the choice and she was going to reaffirm
Well,
the
I
choice
did
no
make the
matter what.
choice. Yeah, I saw it and I was like, that's
Totally.
that's the wine.
Yeah.
Last time we did a podcast, we left it on the idea that regardless of where you stand philosophically, you are going to live within parameters.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are, whether you're on the left, on the far left, on the right, on the far right, you establish parameters. And usually you argue over those parameters. You argue over the lines in which you are willing to fight for. That's kind of what happens, right? So if you're a typical academic liberal, you might argue, to borrow from Jonathan Haidt, that is it fair and does it do harm? And if it violates those two principles, then we have a huge problem. But you can violate all the other principles like sanctity and authority and loyalty. That's not really hurting anybody, right? And so
Duty.
and duty.
Yeah,
These are the
sure.
things that conservatives tend to hold closer. And it might be a personality trait, but you and I always talk. What I really appreciate about whenever you kind of argue is you're essentially arguing not just for parameters, but the parameters on which you argue have a Christian basis.
Yeah.
And not just that, they really are the parameters that the West has built everything that we all seem to flock to
Right.
around. And do you think that's a good argument
Well,
to make?
I think it is. And the other thing is, so you bring up something which is interesting. It's the idea of universals. That's what you're really talking about.
That's the
It's
only
like,
thing I care about.
yeah,
really.
it's like, what is like universal ethics here? When you talk about the harm principle, think about it. Think about why the left uses the harm principle, is because they think of it as a universal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, nobody likes to be harmed. Nobody likes to suffer. Nobody likes this. Nobody likes, so they're actually trying to smuggle a universal in, aren't they?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's really what's going on. It's like, well, this is something we can universally apply to everybody, except you can't.
Right.
You still can't apply that universal because it's just not true, right? It's like, no, people like suffering.
They do.
For instance, they love lifting weights. There's a lot of suffering there.
So is sacrifice, by the way.
So sure. And duty.
Yeah.
Duty can be suffering.
And I'll suffer for a while now so that there's a payoff later, you know. And
so
that's,
the whole harm principle thing, it just kind of, I just reject it. But it's even funner to accept it. That's what makes it more fun. You just say, okay, you know, you're right. Let's look at this you're right about this whole harm thing. You're right. Even if I use that metric, Christianity's still less harmful for society than any bull you come up with.
Yeah.
And then we just walk that all the way to the end too.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it's like, it doesn't matter where we start or where we end, we're always going to come to the same place. My view is going to be correct and your view is not going to be correct.
Well, how do you argue? How do you get yourself out of the fact that the founding fathers, who were essentially, if not Christians, deists, and I know that most of what our, for example, justice system is predicated on is the Christian Judeo-Christian ethic, right? I mean, it really
English
is.
common law, yeah.
English common law, but that's informed by
Yeah.
the notion that we're all the same moral worth and those kinds of things, brothers and sisters under one God, one Father, and all that stuff, right? Is it that? But what would you do with the people? What would you do with the notion of individual liberty? So individual liberty is an important thing.
It is. But do you agree duty is too?
I think duty is inevitable. You can shirk your duty, but you're not going to be very happy.
But how come anytime I hear somebody talking about more rights, is it more rights, more me, more things for me? Like, I never hear any of these guys go, let's pass a constitutional amendment that's duty-based. That's like, all of us now have something that we should be doing.
Yeah.
There's never that. It's always like,
Never.
Can I have a constitutional right to get free? You know,
Well,
can I have a constitutional right to get thing, right? Get thing X.
It's funny because I was talking to a couple of young men who were defining what a man is. My opinion as I get older is, this like idea when you're young, it's a man is a warrior who can fight and do all this stuff. I mean, okay, that might be uh, a role you play in a society if you have a certain constitution, physicality.
Sure.
There are merchants, there are teachers, there are fighters. I think what a man really is someone who puts himself last, who is in a position of service, uh, example, competence, which comes with authority, and ultimately, essentially provides more than he takes. That's at least the ideal. I think that's what it feels like. Sort of be in a position where you can take care of people, provide them, you can provide for them, you can protect them, and you can guide them.
Well, if I ask you this question, what is masculine and what is feminine as far as like virtues go?
Mm,
What's a
very good
masculine
question.
versus a feminine virtue? Um,
I would say, I mean, I know what it is to
what
me.
is it?
I mean, I have to say that a masculine virtue would be protector, provider,
But women for
and women is nurture, which is part of
yeah.
provision, but to be a nurturer, a healer. Even healer is dicey because men are great healers.
Yeah, but let's look at this. Let's examine it though.
Yeah.
You want to protect children, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a virtue.
Protectors.
So protectors,
Yeah.
right? I think that the virtues, there's no delineation.
Mm.
Okay, so all virtues are shared virtues. So how do we know if they're masculine or feminine? This is a big question because you're asking the pivotal question: what's a
Yeah.
man? What's a and the left has used ambiguity around this basis because they want to be and
Well, they
everything else.
borrowed from Derrida's
Sure.
notion. There's no duality.
Well, I look at it like this. So if I want to see what's a masculine versus a feminine virtue, I look at if this virtue fails in mass by this sex, does society completely just become unraveled and get destroyed, or does it not?
Huh.
And so then, if it does, I assign that virtue to that
Yeah.
sex.
Or at least that role, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I would consider that to be part of the virtues, right?
Part of your duty.
Yeah, your duty
Yeah.
in society. So let's examine it this way. Let's say we have a full day where women just lose courage. That would suck.
Mm.
That would be really bad for society.
Yeah.
But if we had one day where men did, there is no society.
Mm.
And so if I'm going to break this down and say, so which one would we assign as a masculine versus feminine virtue? I think both men and women should be courageous.
Yeah.
But the reason this goes in the masculine category is because the failure of it completely destroys everything.
Does that then suggest that the delineation is that one sex is better at this than the other,
Oh, for sure.
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
At least in a general sense,
Well,
but not always in a particular sense.
yeah,
There are women who are more courageous than some men.
of
There's
course,
no doubt.
of course,
I'm not going to say that that's not true.
of course.
But in general, that's not true.
Yeah,
Right? In
yeah,
general,
yeah.
that's not true.
Well,
Same thing with strength. It is true.
That's
There are some
sure.
who are stronger than
and
almost
I.
all men.
Yeah.
But that ain't the case in general, right?
Right.
Not even close. And so
By the way, your wife is stronger than both of us because I listened to the numbers she was putting up. So
well, I mean, she can lift a lot.
yeah, and I can't lift that much, and I
Yeah.
clocked that at dinner, and it kind of ruined my dinner.
Yeah.
Rachel, sorry.
Sounds
keep
like a
going.
problem for you.
It is a problem. For me.
But anyway, so I would just categorize it that way, right? It's not even that difficult when you think about it. It's actually really intuitive.
Yeah.